What is up, Farmstrong Nation? Y'all, I'm about to go to Vegas for a conference. And last year when I went to Vegas, something happened that kind of blew my mind. It's something that I will never forget. It's a great story. It's a great lesson. And I wanted to share it with all of you. So that brings me to another episode of Tractor Seat Thoughts. So last year I was in this conference and there was a bunch of entrepreneurs there for some personal development kind of stuff. In this main ballroom, this main session, there was about 8,000 people, and the guy got on stage and he was like, I have $100 bill. Who would pay me? I'm going to auction this $100 bill off. And this is a real auction. Like, this is for reals going down. I'm going to for reals auction off this $100 bill. And was there anything special about it? No, it was just a bill he pulled out from his wallet. It looked crisp, if that matters. It was like, I don't know if it's been spent yet. But he was like, how many people, he's like, we're gonna have a real auction for this $100 bill right now. How many people would give me $50 for this $100 bill? And like, most people raise their hand, right? Not everybody. A lot of people, I would say probably 95% of the room raised their hand. They're like, yeah, okay, how about who would give me $75? Still, a lot of people raise their hand. He got to like, who would give me $100 for this $100 bill? A couple hands went down, but he's like, okay, so there's still people will be willing to do it. Who would give me $150 for this $100 bill? A lot of hands went down. He's like, okay, well, what if I put this in a frame, right? What if I signed this bill myself? And so then maybe a couple more hands went up, and he's like, well, what about 200? What about 300? What about 500? Significantly more hands go down. There's still hands raised though. People were willing to spend $500 for this $100 bill. And this event, there were some really big names speaking at it. Some of the other names is like, what if I got them to sign the bill as well? Would you give me $1,000 for this $100 bill? Still, a lot of people had their hand raised. Maybe like 100, 150, 200 people still had their hand raised, were willing to pay $1,000 for this $100 bill. And so he kept going. It's like, what if I got, one of the speakers was Tony Robbins there. He's like, what if I got Tony Robbins to sign this bill? I put this in a nice frame. We'll talk about it. You'll be invited backstage while I can give it to you. I can show you around this place. Who would give me $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000? People were willing to spend $5,000 for this $100 bill. And the guy was getting a little bit like he didn't really expect it to go that much. But people kept dropping off, but there was still this core group of people who were still like, yeah, I'm bidding on it. And he's like, y'all, like, I'm not joking around. This is a real auction. Like, you guys are for reals going to have to give me $5,000 for this $100 bill. And they got up to $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, and people stepped. And they got to kind of a small end, and he had kind of a bidding war, and it got down to kind of a handful of maybe 10 people. Y'all, to get to the story kind of end, the bill, $100 bill, went for $3.5 million. And that just like blew, and the guy paid it. He had it like one of those black American Express things. He pulled it out, and he paid $3.5 million. And obviously the people running the event took good care of him. They gave him a lot of extra stuff, which wasn't guaranteed. A lot of the extra stuff he got wasn't told to him before he told people like, hey, you won the auction. But he paid $3.5 million. But what is the lesson, right? Like, why am I telling you this story? Is like, when you have something to give, when you have something to offer to people, sometimes people aren't even worth paying what it is. Like, some people in that room, they weren't even willing to pay $50 for a $100 bill, right? And so if you ask people and you're like, hey, this is the best deal, it's a no-brainer, you should say yes. And some people just didn't say yes. Some people, maybe they didn't have it in their wallet. Maybe they spent everything they had just to get to the event. They literally didn't have $50, even though they knew it would be an instant $100 turn on investment. Y'all, I'm gonna turn this tractor around. Watch, gotta do some farming. I'm doing this multitasking. I really appreciate you guys riding with me on the seat of a tractor. But yeah, so some people, like if you go ask a room of 8,000 people, like there were people in there who weren't willing to give $50 to get instantly to get $100, right? It's like 100%. A lot of people were willing to give, you know, right up until what it was worth. You know, like, hey, like, I'll give you $100. I get to come up on stage. It'll be, you know, something, I get a story to tell. So that made sense. And then, but people were still like, what could you do to add value to something that made it go beyond just what it is? Like a lot of people were willing to pay $150, $200 for a $100 bill. And, you know, you put it in a frame, you sign it, you make people feel special. You know, what is something in your life that you're offering somebody that you could add value to it beyond the value that the thing itself holds? Think about that. And here's the thing, in a room of 8,000 people, one person was willing to pay $3.5 million for a $100 bill. And a lot of people, when you go and ask, or you're trying to take a shot, you're putting yourself out there, you're trying to say, hey, I have this, I want to see there. One person might say yes beyond your wildest dreams. One person might overpay, like by a lot. You just don't know. So for one, it doesn't hurt to ask. That guy would have never, you know, auctioned off a $100 bill for $3.5 million. And one person was willing to pay it. So you just never know if you take a shot. And that's one thing that I got out of it is, what could I do to add value to everything that I offer? Like maybe this video to you is worth, you know, 5-10 minutes of your time. I hope it is. What could I do to continue to add value? I could answer your questions in the comments. If you reach out to me private message, I could give you some mentoring. I could give you more value than just your time that this video is. You know, I try to add value to a little bit more. So whatever you guys know that you get from me, I'm gonna add a little bit more value to that package. And some of you might just keep scrolling, you know, you watch another video on YouTube, watch another video on Facebook, and your 10 minutes, I didn't earn it. And some of you, it might change your life. For one person, that video might change your life. And my hope for you is if you're offering something, whether it's a product you have to sell, whether it's a service you had, maybe it's the way that you're taking your kids to school, I don't know, like add a little bit extra value to everything you had. So that's what I wanted to give to you today. I hope you guys are adding value to everything you do in life. I hope you all grow your dreams. I so appreciate you, and I'll catch you guys next episode.